I remember I got kicked out of a bar because they thought I was doing coke.
No shit.
Yeah, and I remember the bartender looked at the bouncer and was like, "You're an idiot. This dude doesn't do drugs.
No shit.
He has Tourette's." And the guy looked at her and he's like, "But he just came out of the bathroom and like was like, you know."
And like what it is. It's like its own living thing in Austin. And so we crossed paths, dude. Like, you know what I mean? You caught my eye immediately. I saw the tats and the gauges, and I was like, oh, this is my people right here. There's a lot of people that are very, very clean cut and stuff like that. But,
Yeah.
dude, I've gotten to know you. I've gotten to share some miles with you and stuff like that whenever I can keep up with you. So it's awesome watching your journey. It's awesome watching you go out and crush these races and always crossing paths. When did you end up in Austin?
So I would say like late 2010.
Okay.
So I think I'm going on like 14 years here. Like it was kind of crazy. I like saw your clip the other day about like being sober for 9 years. And you're like, oh, 8 years. So I'm always, it is a thing where you're like, no, I'm like 15 years. And you're like, wait, I'm 14.
Right.
Damn.
Right.
But, you know.
Bro, I've been telling everybody I'm 41. My wife is like, you're fucking 42. What are you doing? I was like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But,
like, usually you just stick at 40. When you hit that 40 mark, you're just like,
right.
Yeah, I'm 40. And then usually when you say like, you know, you get into the 41, 42, people are like, you are?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's why a lot of people, I never say my age.
Right.
And then when I say it, like I posted my like little time for that race last week, and everybody's like, holy shit, you're 41. I'm like, yeah.
It's a thing.
I don't act like it,
Right.
but you know, mentally.
Right.
But I'm 41.
We're young at heart, dude.
Yeah.
The good thing about running, dude, is especially once you get over into the ultra world or trail racing and stuff like that, that's like when you're coming into your prime pretty much.
Yeah.
The best ultra runners in the world are all that old.
I mean, I think the guy that he just crushed the Hard Rock course last year, I think he's like almost 50.
Yeah.
So it gives me hope. Like I still have time, you know, as long as I keep moving and stuff like that, you know.
I think you'll be all right.
Yeah.
I think you'll be
I
all
think
right.
it'll be good.
Well, dude, you know, it's no secret the running absolutely transformed my fucking life, what it did for my physical health, mental health, the community. And so my life has been, you know, submerging myself into that, and bro, it built me up into the person I am today. And so it's been cool now to kind of be on the other side and to be able to bring other people into the community and get them involved in running. For the people that don't know who you are, like where did running start for you? How is it incorporated into your life? What do you do with it?
Man,
I know that's a very deep question for you, but just a brief overview.
So I would say probably my first, like I grew up always active. So obviously as a young kid, your parents are like putting you in like multiple sports and stuff like that, which is great. But all of a sudden, you know, you get local 5Ks in your hometown and stuff. And there is the Horseradish 5K.
Let's go.
Yeah. And
tell me you still got the shirt.
You know what? No. I could probably still fit in it, but so the town that I grew up in is like the horseradish capital of the world.
Okay.
Yeah. And
claim to fame
claim
right
to
there,
fame
baby.
in the big ketchup bottle.
Let's go.
That's where like I grew up from like age like 1 to 8 or 10 or whatever, and then we moved. But my parents like signed me up. They're like, "Oh, you have a lot of energy on the soccer field, so you're running back and forth. Like, I wonder what you can do in a 5K." So did it, won my age group, and then, you know, my parents are like, maybe we should just keep signing them up every week. So I like went into these like 5Ks every other week and stuff like that, and it just kind of trickled from there.
Really?
And then, granted, I ran like track in middle school, but like when I got to high school, I was like, like I'd rather try and like play soccer, which in my head I should have just stuck to running, you know, because I didn't hit puberty until like junior year or something like that.
Right.
I was like a late bloomer. So, you know, you can only be so good in soccer, but like me going up against you just be like,
right.
You know, so, but I still ran track like going into my freshman year and stuff like that. And then stopped soccer, got into cross country, and then like went from there. Did 1 year collegiately, and then just kind of, I think I was just burnt out then. But I still did road races. So I went back to like the little 5Ks that I did when I was growing up.
Right.
Went back, won those overall, which was awesome. So it was like kind of like, you know, trying to
Full circle a little bit.
Full circle in a
Right.
way. But then I just kind of paused. Like, you know, you get into the party life and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, hang out with some different people, and you just kind of lose track of what like made you kind of you.
Yeah.
You know.
That's my exact story. Basketball was that for me early in my age. I lost basketball because of a car accident, and then that's where everything started to go left, hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, but you know, it happens.
It does.
It's a life experience. You learn from it and
Absolutely.
stuff. But then, you know, I would slowly do random things. Like somebody would be like, "Hey, I'm getting into this like marathon." It's like, okay. I'm like, well, do you want to run it? I'm like, maybe. And then I would like flake or something like that. But then eventually something just like snapped where I was like, no, I feel like getting back into this. So I'm going to start. And I think it was when I first moved here, because I lived out in Vegas for like 2 years or something like that. And my old boss, his name's Kelly Cardenas, he says, it's like, I got you back into running, you know. And I was like, did you? And he's like, yeah, you remember when, you know, you paced me for the marathon, which was, I felt like the longest day of my life, but he'll even tell you that it was a good experience, you know, but I think that's what got me into like pacing too and helping people, stuff like that. But once I moved here, the salon that I was working at, because I used to be in the hair industry, was next to Jack and Adams actually.
Okay.
And, you know,
For those that don't know, what is Jack and Adams?
I think it was like the OG, like try, bike, run, like plethora of Austin, Texas, you know. Everybody knew Jack and Adams. But so that's what got me into the transition of going into triathlon and like kind of like, hey, let's get back into working out and stuff like that. So mainly started working out again, signed up for my first triathlon, which was an Ironman, because I didn't know the rules or if there is rules or whatever. But, you know, people are like, oh, you got to start at the small ones and then go to the big one. I just thought there was just the big one. So I was like,
right to it.
I'm doing that shit.
Right.
So I did Ironman Texas, and then it just like, it was just a click. And then I was like, all right, I'm back. So now I got into ultras.
Yeah.
So.
You fuckers. You guys should have stayed over there. You got all the fast road guys came over to trail quick, it seemed like.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, I feel like there is a movement going from like, I would say like a year ago. Like all of a sudden it just like blew up.
Right.
And there's like now these like young kids that are getting into trail racing. Like there's a kid, I don't know his last name. I know his first name is Hans. He runs for Ultra now, but he came to Bandera and set the new course record. And then
kid.
Yeah, he's a kid. Like, I mean, I think he's like in his younger 20s or whatever.
Kid.
But like super nice. Like I love watching his videos and stuff like that. But he just got into Western States.
Let's go.
Which is awesome.
Hell yeah.
You know, that's like the
granddaddy of them all right there.
Yeah. So that is definitely.
I got my first 3 qualifying races for Western States. I got a ticket for every one. Didn't know you had to put the tickets in to get the lottery.
Yeah.
I thought they just went in automatically. It was like, oh, I'm going to get it one year. And then it was like, oh, you have to register that shit.
But I always laugh. It's like you do 100 miles and you're like, well, that doesn't give you a ticket to this race. And you're like, I did 100 fucking miles. Right. That should give me a ticket
to any race.
Anywhere.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think. It's, dude, for running for me, you know, it's a huge metaphor for life, but I was on a run yesterday, and I'll be honest, I didn't want to be on the run. I was like 2 miles in. I felt like shit. Fucking wasn't warming up right. Just everything felt clunky. But like when you have that in your back pocket, and you know you've been to races like that where you've done 100 milers and you know you've made it through it, like you know you have that in you to continue on. Like this fucking sucks, but I know I can get through it. And that shit translated to my life tenfold. Every day that shit translates to my life. Do you find those kind of dualities between running and your life and how you go about your life?
like you're saying, aspects of like it just.
Do you think the fact that you're a runner, or the fact that you've done these races and taken yourself to these extreme levels and stuff like that, do you think that you're able to push for more in life? I know you have like a little bit of history with like mental health and stuff like that. Do you think that helped you be able to like push past some of these things?
Yeah, 100%. I would say, like I also grew up wrestling. So cutting weight.
Yo, wrestling, I'll tell you what, for people that don't understand, like there's a lot of practices going on in high school and stuff like that. There ain't nothing like wrestling practice.
Yeah.
Like that shit is
It's a like
conditioning next level.
Like my coach, Coach Wagner, he always said it's a tough sport. And I was like, it is a tough sport.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't many like however many years you do it, like it's something about the mindset of a wrestler. Like you're just like, oh, they can go through some shit. And I think that's what helped me transfer into doing other crazy things like ultras and trail races. And it's like you feel that pain, and it's like people call it the pain cave, or like, that dark space, and you're like, fuck, am I gonna make this?
Right.
And then transferring over to life, you're like, this isn't that bad. Like, yes, it's gonna suck, but if I learn from it, it's gonna get better. There's always that. Yeah. It's like waking up in the morning, you're like, damn, I really don't want to do this. But then once you get up, you start moving, you feel so much better,
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know if this is true for you, but like, no matter what, I could run every day. My first 2 miles always suck.
I think that's every day.
Like, right. Like my body's always like, I don't want to do this. Why the fuck am I doing it? But then you hit that point where it's like your lungs open and everything goes.
Yeah.
And so when I'm talking to a lot of people and they're like, oh, I don't run, or I don't like this, it's like, I promise you've never even ran until you were warmed up.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know what it feels like to run.
Yeah.
It's just people like start at the line, they sprint, they run out of breath, and they're done. They're like, I can't run. It's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah. It's just you got to fall in love with it. You just got to enjoy it, Like that's what, like, half the times, you'll see me wearing headphones, but they're not on. Like,
really?
I'll forget that I even have them on.
No shit.
Yeah, I'll just run. I really, like, if I, now it's like everybody carries a phone with them. Like, if I'm with a group, like, I won't have my phone.
Right.
Just because it's like, at least somebody probably will, blah, blah, blah. But most of the time when I run from the house, I always have it just in case, like, Tony needs me or something like that. Like, I'll look down. But if I get, like, a text or something, like these GPS watches or, like, a phone call, like, I'm always like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, you're messing with my, like, my time. So it's, like, another disconnect. But, I mean, there is other, like, moments where, okay, now I'm bored because I'm doing a 20-mile run or, like, a 30-mile run. So I'll click it, 2 hours into the run.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, this is getting me going. So
I never have used headphones for the gym, for running, for my ultras, anything like that. Because I always, when I got into ultra running in the beginning, I would see people, it just always seems like people that had headphones, whenever they die, they fall apart. It's like they rely on that shit, and then once they don't have it, and so I just
also,
never
I just
used
think
it.
it messes with the heart rate too.
Getting you all amped up.
Yeah, and then, I mean, I remember my first 100, I didn't wear headphones. I just think, like, when you're in a race, like, just throw that shit out the window.
Yeah.
So there's so much going on around you that it's, like, stimulating, and you're just, like, just be in the moment of that time.
Right.
So
That, and then you get behind the road runner who's running their first trail race, and they have headphones on, and you're like on your left, and they won't fucking get over.
Yeah, I had that experience a couple times.
I bet.
Where I'm just like, can you move? Oh, and then they yell at you for not. You're like, got it. So.
But don't let that be a reflection on the trail or the ultra running community. It is absolutely the most accepting, fucking supportive group you will ever meet in your entire life. Cannot recommend it enough.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, it almost made me think like, like I wish I wouldn't have done triathlon and just went straight into trail running. Just because it's just such a collective, like, kind of like almost like they look lumberjacky, homeless, super chill vibes. Like, they're just like, yeah, man, I eat a shit ton of candy and hallucinate from running long distances. And you're like, sweet, sounds great.
Me coming out of me newly sober, stepping into the running world, I start showing up to these runs. Dude, I'm barely being able to run 2-3 miles at this point, but you show up to these runs, dudes got their shirts off, they're chiseled, you know what I mean? Bro, it's intimidating. You know what I mean? But then you start, damn, where was I going with this? What were you just saying? I just blanked out.
The running community? We were just talking about like basically the ultra community and stuff,
Oh,
like being laid back and super chill.
So I enter into the running community, and I start showing up to road races, and then I discovered trail. Well, it's completely different cultures, and so I always tell people, me coming out early sobriety, I don't have that security blanket of drugs or alcohol anymore, bro. You show up to the way I'll describe it to people is you could be running a road race, and you could be running, and you could trip, and you could fall, and you could break your ankle. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a road race, a road runner is going to step over you, and they're going to be pissed off you fucked up their pace time, and they're not going to say a word to you. Mm-hmm. You could be in a trail race, and you could be next to 4 elite ultra runners, and you could just trip and slip a little bit, and those 4 people are going to like stop and be ready to fucking catch you.
Oh yeah.
And so that's how I always try to, and I love road runners. I love both cultures. It's just so different.
Yeah.
We just did the Sunshine Run this past weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I'm like at the start line, and it's a fun race, you know what I mean? But everybody's like stone serious. Everybody's quiet. You get up in an ultra, the starting line, everybody's shooting the shit, hooting, hollering, carrying on. It's like, that's my atmosphere. I don't like this.
Well, I think too, it's a different person when you're standing on the line for like 100 or a 200 or plus mile race. Like you're here at 4 a.m., like for instance, Leadville. That was my first 100 miler. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, do I go out fast? Do I go out slow? I can't breathe because we're like 10,500 feet up. And everybody's just smiling. They're just like, we're about to do some crazy shit. And I was like, oh. And then it just like, there's like this ease that comes over you. And you're like, all right, here we go. Just gonna send it,
Right.
But there was a part where, like, you get into your dark spots. I was coming up Hope Pass, and 2 of my miles were like 40 minutes, and I was just like, fuck, I'm hurting bad.
Right.
And then every person that came up behind me was like, all right, hey man, I know what you're going through.
Yep.
Let's just walk for a couple minutes. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. And they're like, it'll be okay. Right. Like here in 3 minutes, you're going to be a completely different person. And it's just crazy how that works. So but what's awesome is they stopped and they were like, hey, because we're all going through the same thing. And I think at that start line, you're all the same person.
Yep. Yeah.
You're all equal at that moment, and you're like, sweet, I'm with my family.
Right.
Here we go.
I was doing Bandera 100K. I've only ever dropped from one race, and that was the race. It was the second or third time I had done Bandera, and I was super overtrained. I was fucking injured. I got done with, I had a couple miles left to the first loop, and I was like, there's no way. Like, I could walk the second one if I, to finish. But I was in my feelings, because that was like the race where it was like, I really want to go out and fucking push and see what time I could get. Fucking, go.
Yeah.
And so I knew that was all fucked or whatever, so I was in my feelings, and I'm walking, and there was a girl, and she was like getting sick. And so I stopped, and I was helping her, and we kept walking, and I was just like, fuck it, I'll walk in with her. So we're shooting the shit the whole time. But it turns out it was Cat B Rad. You know what I'm talking about on Instagram?
Cat B Rad.
You'd have to look her up. She's sponsored and all that. She's a huge ultra runner.
Okay.
But I was just sitting there kicking it with her the whole time. But
I'm terrible with names.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, one of the biggest female ultra runners in the world from what I know of. And I'm just sitting there shooting the shit like she's just somebody else. But like, that's the community. You know what I mean? You get up next to somebody that's like that high level in another sport or road running or something like that. It's a little bit different energy of speaking with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I had the same, I was trying to do a fast 100. Like, I was shooting for like sub 15.
See, when you're that good, you can not only do hundreds, you can do fast hundreds.
Sub 15, sub 14, and it was last October.
Sub 1,400 miles. Yeah. Holy fuck.
So, timed it out, like, pace-wise. I was like, all right, I'm going to, like, click off, like, 8-minute pace, each one. And I ended up running with just a random guy. Like, so we were, like, talking and stuff, and it was a super, super hot day. Like, it got up to, like, in the 90s. And it just like kind of cooked me. But him and I were helping each other because it was super windy that day. So I would run for 5 minutes, he would run for 5 minutes.
Oh, that's dope.
And then like this is where you kind of pick up on like different tactics going into a next race. Like he did something that I didn't do, which made him kind of succeed in a way. But also I didn't have any pacers. But the one thing that was cool was he was like, hey, I know you don't have a pacer. So when we got to, I think it was mile 45, we were able to pick up pacers, and he was like, just run with us. because we've been running the whole 45. He's like, just use my pacers. I was
and they're competing. This is ultra running right here.
And him and I, we at the time we thought we were 1-2, but then there was like some other crazy guy out there.
Oh no shit.
That we ended up because at the 50-mile turnaround, we were just like, was he in the 100? Because there's a 100 and a 50 miler going on at the same time, and he just like blew by. Was like, and we're like, why is he going that fast? Like, we're going fast, but he's going like 7:30 minute pass,
right.
So, but he ended up like kind of blowing up, but he held on to the win. But at that time, so when you're in the lead, you kind of like throw out your plan in a way. And I remember like I like looked at him and I was like, I'm not doing good. The heat's like getting to me and stuff like that. So I made it to mile 65, and he was just like, are you sure? Like, come on, man. But I just started like puking my brains out. But you get to that thing where it's like you put it on the line, like you do all this training. It doesn't go as well, but I think the main thing that I got out of that one was the next day he sent me this long message, because he ended up going way faster than he thought he could. I think he went like 14:38 or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, that's badass.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's what I want to do. He goes, I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for you.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, okay, I don't care that idea enough.
Fuck yeah.
I'm like, that was badass.
Yeah,
so that made my day.
Dope.
But eventually I'm going to try and do another fast 100 to see what I can do. So, but
you let me know when you're doing it. I want to come help.
I gotcha.
You had mentioned before, that you were gotten in the hair, and you did have some mental health stuff go on. Can you kind of go back in life, and where did that all start? What did that look like? If you don't mind getting into it.
I would say, like, I think, I did the normal thing, went to college, was going through school, and, they're like, what do you want to do? And I was like, man, I don't know. I did art. So obviously I worked with my hands, which led me to my next career, but I think I just broke down one night, like called my mom. I was like, I am not happy. Like, basically I think that was like my mental breakdown of like put myself in my closet. That was like my safe spot in the corner.
Right.
And
so you're just feeling a lot of depression at this time?
Yeah. Like, I hated everything,
right.
And I remember she like came over to my house that I was living at, and she was like, well, like, what are you not happy about? And I was like, this. Like, I don't like me as a person right now. Like, I don't like going to school. I don't like, this isn't me. Also, at that time, really didn't have, like, my creative outlet, or didn't look like this, And she was like, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I think I want to quit school. And she was like, okay. She's like, are you thinking about going to like cosmetology school? And I was like, thanks, go. Like, I think I'll be happy, And then sure shit, like, once I made that transition, my life, like, I was like getting better. Like,
okay.
I was like, ooh, this is me. This is my thing, And then kind of went into it like 100%. But it's just like crazy. Those little small changes like can completely change your mindset and put you in a better place, So, and then after that, worked my ass off, just because it's like, hey, I just like gave up this big thing. I was getting ready to graduate. I think I had like maybe like a semester or two left, and then just was like, yeah, I'm done. Going into a different career, gonna do this. And like, hairstylists at that time, they're like, what about money? You're gonna make money, you're gonna be successful, stuff like that. And I was like, well, I have no choice. Like, I made this decision, so I'm going in 100%. Never missed a day.
I'm living that right now, bro.
Never missed a day of school. I worked at a bar, so I was late nights, get home at like 3:30, wake up at like 6, travel to school, did all that. But I think I had like a lady that was like my mentor there. She was like, you have like perfect attendance, right? And I was like, yeah. It's like, made sure of that, So
thanks for noticing.
Yeah. I was like, think you're the only one that noticed, but that's awesome, you know?
Right.
So, and she goes, even doing late nights and yada yada, you still showed up. And I was like, no. He's like, I feel like you guys are holding me accountable because you see something in me that right now I don't. So that's helping me do this.
Right.
And then ended up getting a really, really good job. And that's when I moved out to Las Vegas.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think it was just a change of job, change of people you were around, maybe?
It could have been atmosphere.
Relieving
too.
stress, all
Yeah,
that?
it could have been atmosphere. Because, I mean, you still, like, when you have those dark moments, it'll still come back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, when I lived in Austin, there was times where I was just like, man, like, I do not like what's going on right now. So
in that moment when that's going on, and I mean, you know, a lot of what I talk about as running as like a medicine for mental health medication, you know, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Almost as if it's a medication. And so if this is something you're already doing in your everyday life, it's just your normal staple. So you're not getting that same serotonin and dopamine hit that you need to get from it to address stuff like that. So what is your outlet when something like that's going on?
So I think that's when I made that transition into like, oh, I'm going to start running again.
And you used it as fuel?
Yes.
Look at that. I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Let's
go.
Go.
And it was like, okay, you know, you have a choice. You can either be like just in that, you know, that cloudy mindset. And I was like, man, I remember when I used to run or work out and push myself. Like it's a weird thing. It's like people are always like, why do you do these races? And it just like, it royally like fucks up your body. And I was like, it's that dopamine. Like that's my drug now. Like that is my thing. That gets me out of my funk. Like even, you know, my wife, like, she's like, you seem grumpy. I was like, little, or like in a funk. She's like, you should go run.
Yeah.
I was like, I should go run.
Right.
And then literally the next day, it's like or that day, I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
So it's like something about movement is going to change things.
Dude.
100%.
1000%.
Yeah.
I can't say it enough. And it's cool to hear other people say it. You know what I mean? Like I come from the drug and alcohol world, you don't, but there's still that duality and we still get that same thing. But man, we were talking about it earlier. I'm telling you, doing that hard shit every day, going for a run, going to the gym, doing things you don't want to do, like it does so much more for the rest of your life. And so like everybody's entitled to live their life how they want. But like me and a lot of the people that I keep close to me, like getting sober was not enough. You know what I mean? Like, cool, that was the first step. Now we're sober. Now what? Yeah. And like, I've been using it a lot as an example lately, but bro, look at Kobe Bryant. Like, tell me that dude didn't have the tendencies of an addict. Like to sit there and obsess and do something over and over and over and over. And then look at what happened to him when, you know what I mean, when basketball was no longer a part of his life. It started coming out in unhealthy areas. Yeah. Like any other human. It's nothing against Kobe. But when you can channel that, what you can take in the gym or what you can take on a run, and you can put that into your life, dude, like, I know it's hard. The hardest thing is just showing up. The hardest thing is just waking up and saying, all right, I'm going to go for that fucking run, especially when you feel like shit. But dude, if you just put that out of your fucking head for 1 second and not listen to that fucking voice and put your shoes on, show up to the fucking group, show up to the run, go outside, run to the fucking stop sign, do something, like I promise you are going to feel different. It's a science. It's the chemicals in your brain. It works. Yeah. But nobody talks about it. Yeah. Except us that do it. And then they all think we're fucking crazy.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, what's between your ears is like, could be like your best friend or like your kryptonite, you know? Because don't get me wrong, I wake up and you have that one thought of like, I could sleep a little bit longer. And you're like, oh shit, nope. Like, get your ass up, you know? Or, you know, you have somebody like lean over and slap you, not like in a bad way, but it's like, hey, get out of bed. And it's kind of cool, like when your significant other holds you accountable, like, get your ass out there. It's like, aren't you training for something? I'm like, fuck. I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's dope.
You know, so.
My wife is extremely supportive. She'll never push me she's not going to push me to like leave or whatever. Yeah. But she will, she's never once that I said, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to a race, I'm going to run. She's never once gave me shit or a hard time. Or I'm traveling here to do this. Like, she gets it. She knows what it is to me. She knows it's medicine.
Yeah.
I think she likes dealing with me a lot more when I'm doing it as opposed to when I'm not. So
yeah. And don't get me wrong, like it's not like, you know, I've adjusted some things lately just because she's getting back into working out. She used to run all the time and like go to the gym, and so for instance, like she'd be like, "Oh, I have a class at like 7." I was like, "Okay." She's like, "Is that all right?" And I'm like, "I'm never gonna say no to, like, you go do your thing. I can go run at any time. Like, I could just text my guys, be like, hey, probably not gonna show up. Totally fine. Like, granted, I do love running in the morning, but also you can do it at any time. Granted, in Austin,
I was just gonna say, bro, fuck all that.
it does suck running in the afternoon. I'm not gonna lie.
Right now is when it's starting to suck.
Yeah. It's a different, like, I mean, granted, if you run in Austin, Texas, you're a different animal for sure. Like, you have to either run late at night, which it's still in the hundreds, you know, but I will say I am that crazy person. When I am training for like an ultra, I'll run at any time. So,
bro, I was having a conversation the other day, and they were asking me about ultras. They know I'm back into running, and they're asking me, and I was like, dude, like, I'd love to. I just don't have that. Bro, back then I had something to fucking prove. You know what I mean? And I do still, like, but I feel it in other areas. I don't feel it in the running shit anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't, bro, I wish I could muster up that fucking burning desire to want to go fucking.
What was crazy before I knew of you. Like, you know, we would see each other at, like, obviously the Fleet Feet runs or something like that, and then all of a sudden, like, you pop up on YouTube or something, like, I'm like, oh, that's that dude. And it's like kind of cool seeing, you know, I know you had your, like, your main one, I think you had at Alamo Draft House, right? Or you did a viewing?
Oh, the movie?
Yeah, the movie.
When they showed it down at Fair Market downtown?
Was it that? It was one, like, I mean, this was years ago.
Were you at one?
No, because you know, I just never ventured. Like, once I go home, I'm like, homebody, here we go. Yeah. But it was kind of cool because I went down a rabbit hole and looked at your other videos and stuff. And I was like, oh shit, you've done multiple 100s, right?
No, it was just the 100.
Just the one?
Yeah.
I thought you did something else.
I did Tahoe 100K. Those are probably my both biggest races.
Okay, but
I've done a bunch of ultras.
You had more than one YouTube video, right, of running, right? Or am I wrong on that one?
They did there's a couple, there's definitely a couple of them out there. There's the movie. The movie's on Amazon, and then once it was on Amazon for a couple years, it released to all the other places, so now you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a ton of videos on YouTube of me on different things, but there's another one of a running group I was a part of. I got Member of the Year. That was one of the things that kind of set it off. So there's a couple things out there.
I got it. Yeah, because when you're like trying to find like motivation and you start like looking up 100 milers, like your thing popped up. And
let's go.
I was like, oh, I know that guy. I mean, I know of him. I've seen him. And then all of a sudden, you know, now we're here.
There we are. And that's the running community right there.
Yeah.
Dude, I try to tell these guys that are, you know, I just started the Redemption Run crew. It's on Saturday mornings at 7:30, and it was such a big, I talked about the anxiety that came with trying to step into the running world, especially a running culture like Austin, such a big, vibrant culture, and how scary it was for me first walking into it. And now I'm entrenched in it, fucking love it, can't imagine my life without it. And so it's like, I want to give that to these guys. And so what I'm trying to do right now is I'll go speak one place a week, you know, free of charge and everything, in an IOP or sober living, and I'm trying to let them know like what we're doing. Yeah. And I just want to be that bridge for guys that are, or men or women that are interested in getting in running, but they're having that issue of like just to go do it. Yeah. And so we had two guys last week. Two guys last week came out for their first run ever. Okay. Never had run. One dude shows up in like flat top Reebok lifting shoes. The other dude had on some, you know, some older Asics or whatever. Yeah. But we got them through as a community, we got them done with their first 4-mile run. They're fucking beaming ear to ear, ecstatic. They go with us after, they get coffee and thing. I knew they needed shoes. I sent them down to Fleet Feet. Fleet Feet fucking took care of them. Shout out. But dude, like, that's what it's all about for me now. You know what I mean? It's
at least they showed up. So they had that. I mean, that's with influencers, you know, like one good thing that I would say that comes from like influencers in a way of like showing up, and it's like kind of promoting like different run clubs, because you know there's a million of them
Yeah.
in Austin, and everybody always asks when they come into the shop, they're like, hey, like, do they have a run club for this? And I was like, I mean, I'm pretty sure now they do, but I'm like, you can kind of show up to any of them and they're always going to be accepting, you know? So like I pace, you know, every Tuesday morning for the Morning Joes. Every Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., there's like 200 people.
Bro,
there.
it's so
It's
packed.
crazy.
It's so packed.
It's like, it's nuts, but
Picture dark Austin, Texas, downtown, the glowing lights, the Capitol, and everybody at fucking 200 people at 6 a.m. standing in downtown Austin ready to go run around the Capitol. It's a pretty cool.
It's
not a car on the
nuts.
fucking road. It's cool as shit.
yeah, like, and it's crazy because it could be like 5:55 and you're not seeing anybody.
Yeah, and then they all show
But
up
like
the
at
last 5
5:59,
minutes.
you're like, boof. You're like, even in the wintertime.
Yep.
But I mean, granted, like now, you know, it's getting warmer, so everybody shows up because it's easier to like, it is easier to get out when it's nice out and stuff
Right.
like that. But I'm more like, I do like running in the cold, but I don't like running in like cold, you know.
Oh,
so
yeah, fuck that.
yeah.
Dude, once it gets under 40, I got roped, so I got big hands because I used to shoot a lot of dope in my hands,
Yeah.
so I don't have veins.
Okay.
And so they've like retracted. And so I have good blood flow there, but I have no blood return. So my hands stay big.
Got
As
it.
soon as it dips under 40, my hands are fucked.
Ah,
like it'll
damn.
stop me on a run.
Okay.
It'll like hurt through the gloves and shit.
I got you.
But yeah, I'd much rather run in the heat, but that humidity is a motherfucker.
Yeah, it does suck.
It's so the people that started around the winter fall time that first started getting into running then, they did it perfectly. The guys trying to get into it right now, it's a little bit of a rough go.
Yeah.
But as soon as the weather breaks and it gets cool, it's like all of a sudden you're like, I'm the most shape I've ever been in my entire life. This is fucking great.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like heat training is like the new altitude training in a way, you know. So if you can make it through summer in Austin, Texas, you can definitely run in the mountains.
Bro, dead of summer, I would go do 10 miles worth of repeats on Ladera and Far West.
Okay.
Just back and forth, trying to train for Tahoe 100K. And I was like, all right, dude, I'm going to be good in altitude. I was not good in altitude, bro.
Oh.
As soon as I got up, I think we started at 6 and went up to 9,000. As soon as I got up to 9,000, it was like dead.
It's a different,
Dead.
It's different.
And then you come out of the mountains after 60 miles and it's like you come alive again. It's like you hadn't run at all. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
There was a big bombshell I think we were supposed to drop. I think your wife said that we were supposed to talk about something pretty important, wasn't there?
What's up?
Wasn't there something important we were supposed to talk about that the world doesn't know?
Oh, my me having Tourette's and
I never knew this was a thing.
Yep. No. So, I don't even really don't talk about it or anything.
We don't have to if you don't want to.
No. I mean, I'm totally cool with it. But that's like a lot of things a lot of people don't know. Like even I remember, so like being a hairstylist, like all of a sudden, like on like, so it's like almost like I'll have my bad days.
And so now what does that look like for you? A bad day?
Bad day. So it's like it's like more like clicking, ticking, like, you know.
Have you seen Boondock Saints?
It's not like that.
That's my only reference for this.
So that's the other thing. People are like, "Do you scream?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "It would be cool." That's what my friends say.
It'd be a lot cooler.
They'd
if
be
you
like,
did.
"Man, yeah." That's what my friends are like. Damn, why can't you have this type of Tourette's? And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No," you know.
So what is it? It's ticking?
So it's like ticking, or like when I was younger, it would just be like throat, like stuff like that, or
I've
you
seen
know,
people
like,
do that.
do big breaths or like that, or which got me in trouble back in the day. I would like that.
Yeah.
That would be one of my things. And I remember I got kicked out of a bar because they thought I was doing coke.
No shit.
Yeah, and I remember the bartender looked at the bouncer and was like, "You're an idiot. Like, this dude doesn't do drugs.
No shit.
He has Tourette's." And the guy looked at him and he's like, "But he just came out of the bathroom and like was like," you know. And I was like, "Yeah, man. This is,
No shit.
yeah."
The
But
bartender knew you had it?
yeah.
wow.
So did the owner, and the guy was like, "You can't, like, he's good, dude."
Yeah.
Like, you know. But it was a weird, awkward confrontation. Like, I was like, "All right, man, it's cool." But So it's just like it's motor stuff. Like it really like I just try and learned how to kind of control it. They put me on medication when I was younger, and it just made me a zombie. Also, I just don't like taking medication.
Me neither. I did for a long time, but
Yeah. But I just felt like it was taking. I felt like I felt like a zombie. So stopped doing that and just kind of like obviously did research and stuff, and you can do a lot of like controlling mentally. Like the mind's a powerful thing. So I'm like, okay, like. Also, I try and hide it. So like right now, like in my head right now, like I could have like 20 things going on, but I feel like I'm flowing with you, you know? So it's just like, oh, okay. Like,
so it's something that you are always aware of, but you can kind of subside and control.
It's like a nonstop thing.
Really?
That's like, hey, like it's almost like a hiccup. Try and stop a hiccup. It's not happening.
Okay.
So, or like a mosquito bite, try not itch that thing.
Right.
So
it's there. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. It does, like when my body does get stressed, like I'll be running and all of a sudden I'll just like in mid stride, I'll like kick up and I'm like, what the fuck was that? Or it's like a bad timing because I'll go past somebody and I'm like,
and they see that?
Like that, and I'm like, what was that?
You got to think of like a funny catchphrase to say.
No, yeah. Like I laugh at it. Like I'm totally cool with it. But like there's like some things where like I'll be like walking and then like I'll have something like I'm like I've never done that before. Where'd
that come from?
Where the fuck were you thinking? Or something like that. But no, like in high school it was really bad. Like I would try and like suppress it all day, and then I would get home and my mom's like, do you do this at school? And I was like, no, but I kind of, because I remember there was a kid, it's almost like you can sense when somebody else has Tourette's.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's like wild. Like we were at Carpenter like 2 weeks ago. I was sitting there having breakfast with my mom.
Can most people control it?
I maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's different for everybody,
Let me find out there's a bunch of people with Tourette's running around.
No, I like a lot. Like I have a couple friends that have Tourette's.
Really? I didn't know this was a thing.
Oh yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what the fuck is going? Like, I look over and then there's a guy like this, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, it's like almost like I feel his energy, and I'm just like.
Oh, so would it make yours worse?
It doesn't like trigger it, but like it does in a way. Like it makes me like really like start thinking about it, and I'm like, oh damn. So, but there's like different routines and rituals and stuff. I guess that goes into the OCD aspect. But yeah, it's just I power through it. Like I'm like okay, but usually like when we get like say if you're around me a lot, you'll notice it. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden you won't notice it. And then other people would be like, yo, what's up with Dane? You're like, what do you mean what's up with Dane? They're like, he's like kind of twitching or doing something. You're like, yeah, he has Tourette's. And then just go about your day. Right. And they're like, wait, what the fuck? He has Tourette's? And I was like, yeah. So it's like a party trick, It's like.
lean into it, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking fastest guy in the world with Tourette's. That's content for days.
Is that?
I don't know. It's got to be.
What I always like, that's what my friends like. They love it because they'll like send me the most random shit, and they'll be like, "Why can't you be like this?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm not that cool." Like, or what was it like? There was a movie. It was a comedy movie way back in the day, and the lady had Tourette's, and she was like, yelling just crazy out of pocket stuff.
Right.
And they're like, why? I was like, I would not go out. I would not go out with my friends if that was the thing. You know, like it'd be like, nope. You just be like,
somebody call fucking Dane and get him here now. We need him.
We need some entertainment. Let's go. So, but yeah, no. Something that I deal with every day. So
you're a beast, so fuck it.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to have running be this thing in your life and then to become a sponsored runner, sponsored ultra runner? To like have the kind of recognition that you do within the running community, to have the accomplishments you do, what does that feel like?
I mean, I'm very grateful. I love it.
You're very, very humble.
I get told that a lot.
Which
so
is
this is
fucking
like
the shit.
this is way out of my comfort zone, but I was like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I have trouble with is talking about myself or you asking me questions, and you know, every time somebody's like, oh, he's being humble right now and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I don't want it to be here right now. You know, so I was
I feel
like,
you.
I'm gonna leave, but I think my greatest joy is like when I get to pace the marathon
Mm-hmm.
and just like get those messages from people that are like, you helped me do this, you know. And I think you know, that's why I do it in a
Yep.
way, and that's what helps me perform the way I do. Like, so, you know, each morning I'm like, damn, like that's kind of cool. Like I get to have this gift or whatever it is that I get to help people or, you know, inspire others to get out and do, you know.
Right.
So I think it's awesome, especially the community that we live in too. But it's also cool when I like go back home and people are like, what crazy shit are you going to do next? You know? And I was like, well, I'm doing like, you know, last man standing in 2 weeks, which is something I've never done before, which I'm excited for.
Where are you doing it at?
It's the BPN,
Okay.
last man standing.
How many miles? Loops?
It's so backyard ultra is like 4 point. I think they made it a 4.2. Usually it's like basically it's 4.2 on the hour every hour.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like something I'm like, ooh, this could be my thing.
Yeah.
Like, cause I
don't
like giving up.
I did a last man standing race, and I was just using it as training for an ultra that I was doing.
Mhm.
So I was just trying to hit a mile, and I wasn't trying to win the race or anything.
Yeah.
And so it was at McKinney Falls, and it was like the same 3 mile loop, and it was
Yeah.
like start every, you know, whatever, every how often. And then I want to say they started creeping back the time. I could be
Okay.
wrong. But
They
were
do have those.
No, what they were doing, no, that was another one I did. So the one we were doing at McKinney Falls, I remember we would start and they would do things like, all right, fastest loop this time gets a $200 gift certificate to Starbucks or some shit.
Yeah.
So they were having people do that. And so everybody was going out super fast. And so I was of the mindset, it's like, all right, I'll clip this out as fast as I can, get back to the station, then I have enough time to use the bathroom, eat, do whatever until the next thing starts.
Mhm.
Well, there was a girl there and she would start up at the front every time and everybody would take off and she'd power walk it the whole time. And she'd come in with maybe a minute left each round and she never really got to sit down and stop. And after a couple loops of this, everybody would run by her and she'd be like, great job, good job. I was like, yo, she's on to something. She's on to something. And I think I got out around 60 some miles. Like I got the miles that I needed. So
That's
I stopped.
awesome.
And, dude, she was still fresh as a daisy. She ended up winning. She did like 200 some miles like that. But
Yeah,
that was the key that I saw
Just
there.
a
It's like,
strategy, and I mean, I'm not worried about the fastest dude out there. I'm worried about the guy that looks like Father Time because he has so many miles under his legs, and he's just, hey, it's like the tortoise and the hare. It doesn't
Yep.
matter, like, you know. But I'm technically kind of using it as a training thing for Leadville. I'm going back to Leadville in
go.
August, so I'm excited about that. Try and beat my previous time.
Dude.
Obviously, it's like I know some things now,
Right.
so.
in the running world, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment? What are you most proud of? Because for me, I'll tell you, like I won Paleface Marathon,
Okay.
but I got 4th place in a 50 miler on Rocky 50. But I ran the entire time on Rocky 50. Like I didn't stop once. There was no
Yeah.
power hiking for hills. And have you been out there? Been there, that course? Very,
No,
very
no,
hilly,
no.
very, very rocky.
I've ran Reverly Ranch or
Reverly Peak Ranch, yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
We did the Austin Rattler, and that's so Leadville always has a lottery, or they somehow get people in there. I just didn't want to take that chance anymore, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it like I feel like the right way.
Right.
I'm gonna go race. I'm gonna go earn my gold coin. I'm gonna throw down, and ended up getting I got 3rd overall, which got me a gold coin into Leadville.
Okay.
So, but that 50K was like nuts. Like it was a tough,
Yeah.
really tough course. But yeah, I just didn't want to. That lottery system's like,
Yeah.
it's tough.
The deeper I got into ultras, and I remember doing my 100 miler, and I remember doing like when I did Tahoe 100K, they were doing Bigfoot 200. going the opposite way. And I watched the people doing the 200, and most all the time when I saw them, they were power hiking. And like, I love ultra distances, but it was never really my goal to see how far I could go to stop. It was how far could I run?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, you ran Bandera, right?
No.
Oh, you've never ran it?
No, never ran Bandera.
So if you run Bandera Rocky, you'll see the terrain out there. And so the fact that I could go run 50 milers, I got 4th place. And so like that 4th place, I was so much more proud of than winning the marathon. It's just because like there wasn't one moment on any hill that I slowed up and stopped. Like I just for 50 miles went. And I was just like, dude, that is one of the most, I've lifted weights every day. I do all this shit. But that right there, to know that I could go run over any terrain for 50 miles and never fucking slow up one time was like the most empowering feeling in the world.
I mean, I would say like when I crossed the finish line at Leadville, like with my pacers who definitely, they're my buddies, Alex and Andrew from back home. They nailed it. They pushed my ass to the limit, got there, got to see like, I'm having a brain fart, the 2 like founders of Leadville 100.
Okay.
Anyways, they were there. And I was like, holy shit, I just see you on TV or YouTube all the time, or I read, Born to Run. So it's like, I get to hug you now?
Right.
Like, that's badass. This is all, like, I don't give a shit about the buckle or the medal. I get to, like, embrace. But also the history of that course was, like, it just all came together. Like, I've raced world championships and triathlons, stuff like that. But that moment was, like, I'm like, this is way cooler than any race that I've ever done.
Hell yeah.
So.
And most of the ultra, we'll say most, not all, but most, especially we'll say let's exclude the newer ones, but we'll say like all the old school ones, and like they're one of the people, like they say, don't ever meet your idols and stuff like that. But the running world and the ultra running world, it's like you meet them and they're every bit as like chill, down to earth, cool as fuck. Like that is a trail runner right there. That is what they are. They're not that high thing you think they are. They're just, at the end of the day, they're another fucking people. Runner like you.
Yep. Just normal people. And I think that's like definitely like, say if I like blow up or something like that, I always have to keep that standard of like always be humble, always be appreciative, like where you came from, because there's somebody that's like looking up to you and you don't want to like fall off that, that course and be like, ooh, I was really excited to meet you, but you're kind of an ass, so.
I had a very good lesson very early off in the running world. I met a guy who's a fast dude and all that stuff, and he big timed me a couple times like that, and it happened perfect because I used it as fuel, and that's probably what pushed me to become the runner that I became and all that stuff. But people, where was I fucking going with that? I'm having a brain fart now too. The running community and just being accepted in like those. Like
being humble.
Oh,
like
humble. That's what it was. He was not a humble guy. Yeah. And so it was a very, at the time of my life, the documentary's getting made. I'm doing well at races. I just run this 100. And so it was a time where ego could have took over. But that dude was like this red flag for me. It was like, that is everything I don't want to be. Yeah. And so that's what modeled me after I got sober, was to make sure I'm the exact opposite of that.
Got to keep that ego in check.
Dude.
Doesn't matter how big you are. You just got to like always like be like, you were that person at one time, so don't be a dick. There's no reason to be a dick. So
it also, I was having another conversation yesterday with a buddy, like I always keep it humble, but I'm curious, how do you think with this? Because you keep it humble, but you know in your heart you're a bad motherfucker when it comes to running. If I walked up to you and was like, bro, I'll get on the line, I will dust you right now, I guarantee in your head you're like, this motherfucker, all right, come on, bro, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that, like, you don't say it out loud.
Right.
So, like, one good thing Tony taught me was, like, all right, think before you speak, because I used to say, like, crazy shit. But in athletics or sports, I remember, for instance, high school wrestling. There's this kid that came in the locker room that there was like a JV meet that night or whatever, and we were wrestling varsity the next day, and he came in, was like, you Shaw? And I'm like, the fuck is this kid? I just like cut weight. I'm like, what? And he's like, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. Like in my head, I was like, I'm gonna rip your fucking head off.
Right.
And I pinned him in like 20 seconds, which in my head I was like, damn, I wish I would have like made him suffer a little bit more. But also I just wanted to prove a point, being like, you don't come into my house and talk shit.
Right.
Like I'm gonna,
See,
you know, yeah. So, but yeah,
it's a cool. Always keeping it humble, but it's a cool feeling when you know that how hard you've worked to do something, the dedication you put into it, and you start finally get to that point where that confidence build up, where it's like, man, you know what? I am a bad motherfucker when it comes to this. I think it's an empowering feeling. You brought up wrestling, and it brought up a funny memory. I remember being in, I want to say I was like a sophomore in high school, and I went over this girl's house that I was talking to, and her little brother, who was in like 7th, 8th grade. I'm in high school, dude.
yeah.
He was a wrestler, and I'm in the living room, and I'm sitting there talking to her, and I'm talking to him, and then I start like fucking with him, like joking around, having no idea he's a wrestler. Bro, within a blink of my fucking eye, I'm twisted up on the ground in a pretzel in front of this girl by an 8th grader or 7th grader, whatever he was, and that's when I learned my lesson. Like, yo, don't fuck with the wrestlers, dude.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
And especially now, everybody's running around jiu-jitsu assassins. Fucking,
You never know. You never know
know.
now. Which is kind of cool because, like, when I started wrestling, that was not a popular sport. And then all of a sudden, it just, like, blows up. Just like with running. Like, I feel like in high school, I did, like, the nerdy sports where, like, now everybody's like, you wrestled? I was like, yeah. They're like, and you ran? Holy shit. Like, can we be friends? I'm like, sure. Like, this is weird.
This shit wasn't cool back in high school, but
yeah.
Dude, I remember people, when I found out people ran cross country, I was like, wait a minute, you what?
Yeah.
Like, you just go run? I thought that was the longest distance ever. And then, but it seems like that as a kid, but then you get into like running and you realize that distance really wasn't.
Yeah. Like, I thought 10 miles was like crazy, and now that's just like an average run, like, which is nuts, you know? So, but yeah, I think the aspect of the mental thing of like stepping up to the line, and, you know, it's like, I know like my competition, and it's like, I know like where I stand and stuff like that. But like, you know, speaking of age and stuff like that, I still have that mindset when I go up and I'm going up against younger people. I'm always like, I can still whoop your ass. So I keep that in my head.
Yeah.
But granted, like, there's maybe a chance or a good possibility, there should be a good possibility that they're going to whoop me that day, you know. But like my race 2 weeks ago, like, I knew the kid that I was racing, and it was the first leg of this relay, which I started with like 40 people. And I was like, great, I'm going to be that one time, because each year our team always comes out first out of the woods. And like, I knew the kid, and I'm like, damn, like, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then that's when like I came out. I wasn't expecting to go that fast, which I surprised myself because I didn't do any speed work. I'd just been doing strength training and, you know, just long runs. But also there's race tactics that go into it. So it's like age does help, you know. So he went out in 450. Then we went through at 9:55, and then the 5K we went through like at like 15:30, and that's when he just like broke. And I was like, the mental aspect that I was going through, like I was like, I should be cooked right now. But I was like, we went up this slight little hill, and then he like fluttered back, and I threw a surge and just broke him. And I was like, holy shit. And then I get done, and like my team was like, dude, you just ran like 5:02 pace for like almost 4 miles. Like, are you on drugs? And I was like, just pissed. Like, just fuel. That kid fueled me. So I thanked him for that. And then he was like, I just PR'd. I'm like, I hate you even more.
That was the cool thing about running, is because it brought back the competitiveness for me, of like that I had in high school sports.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, you're competitive with yourself, number one, and you're competitive with other people without them really knowing.
Yeah.
When you're starting off. So it's like, if you're on a group run and you're going for a run, there's that one person that's just a little bit faster than you. They've been doing it just a little bit longer, and they're up ahead of you. They have no idea that you're gunning for them, but you fucking start getting up closer and closer every time you run. Then you pass them, and then next thing you know, you're up in the group ahead. It's a cool fucking feeling, because it's just always, most likely you're never going to be unless they're you, you're never going to be the fastest guy, so you always have something to work for.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seeked out people, and I'm like, okay, which race are you going to? And I'll sign up for it without them, you know, knowing or whatever, because I want to, like, I'm like,
see what it is?
Like, man, everybody's hyping you up right now. And I'm like, I know you're probably like twice as young as me, but I want to race your ass.
This is the Dane Shaw energy we need.
So like, you know, I remember there was a trail race. I was like, there's this kid that was super sweet kid, super, like, he's really good. But I was like, damn, man, like, he's winning all these races. I was like, I want to race him. And then showed up. And he was like, oh, I didn't know you were racing. I was like, yep, I'm here. And then it just, like, there was a thing that, like, because we're very cool, like, very cordial. But then there's that, like, click where it's like, oh, you're my competition now. And it's like, yeah, I am. So, and then basically dusted him pretty good that day, set a course record. And I was like, all right, did my job. Cool. But then I told him, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to let you know something. I was like, you motivated me to get my ass out here and do this. So I want to thank you for making me do this, you know. So, but like no bad blood, nothing. But it was just like, I'm going to let you know I seeked you out because you were winning all these races. And I just was like, all right, I got to do this. So
that's what it's all about, right there.
Yeah.
Well, let's say hypothetically someone's listening to this and they heard you sit there and tell your story and kind of where you were at before you had found running or got back into running. Somebody that's listening to this and they're thinking maybe going through some mental health stuff for that, but they're thinking about getting into running, what would you tell them? What would your advice be for them?
100%. Like, I mean, there's, you know, like there's these run clubs, you know, there's always, you got to find your place, you know, and it's going to happen. Like, you'll find your little niche. You'll find a group. Like, just get out and try something new. I know it's, like, scary to make that first step, but just do it. Yeah. It's going to change everything and open so many doors. Like, you can make new friends, you know, stuff like that, which, granted, I talk to a lot of people when I'm at these run clubs, but I'm a homebody. Yeah. And, you know, my wife is always like, you should hang out with a lot more people. I'm like,
I run.
That would be nice, but I got like my 4 main crew people here. Like, you know, like half the time I don't even hang out with them out of running. That's my social. Yeah. That's my social aspect. So I just definitely tell people, like, it's definitely life changing and it's fun. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. So if like you're sitting there like on the edge of like, you know, I don't know if I want to do this, just do it. So
let's go. Yeah. Love that, dude. Well, brother, I appreciate you for making the trip. I appreciate you for coming on and opening up, especially about stuff you've never talked about. Doing this for the first time, you fucking crushed it.
It's crazy.
The way we like to wrap up the show. Now, I should have told you this previously, so I don't mean to put you on the spot, but the way we like to wrap up the show is everybody's heard a little bit about you. They've heard some of your story, but to let them really know who you truly are, if you want to take a look in your camera and maybe throw out some I am statements of who you truly are. So you could just be, I am a runner, I am a husband, I'm a brother, I'm loved, I'm a fucking beast. Whatever variation of that do you think describes you best?
Oh, man.
Whenever you're ready. Take your time. Don't mean to put you on the spot. And then I do have one more question for you after that.
Okay. I was like, I'm just going to keep it simple. Hi, my name is Dane Shaw. I'm an ultra runner, endurance athlete, a husband, and a dog parent.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think that's the name of the episode right there. I am a dog parent.
Dog parent.
My favorite question to ask on the show, hypothetically speaking, tonight, you are walking out for the UFC Lightweight Championship of the World. What's your walkout song?
Ooh, man, that is tough. Because, you know, on runs, you think about that. And when I lived in Vegas, I was around a bunch of UFC fighters and stuff like that. That is tough. Like, do you walk out like something like out of key where it's like orchestra or symphony where it's like people are like, what the fuck, you know?
Mine changes daily. I've had from everywhere from Pink Pony Club to fucking House of Pain, Jump Around. Do I want to throw them off when I'm walking out?
Yeah.
Fucking what do I want to do?
Yeah, it's like Michael Jackson Thriller, you know? You're just like, wait, what?
What's your primary music? What music gets you going?
Honestly, it's like a beat.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I could hear like old New Orleans, like drums or like brass or bass, and I'm like, oh, okay, like something that gets me in a rhythm, in a flow state. It could be like country or folk or bluegrass or whatever, but my like it's you can
All
look
over
at
the place?
you look it's all over the place.
All right, so one song. First song that comes to mind.
I mean, you know what, I know people don't really enjoy the person, but like Machine Gun Kelly,
Fuck
like
it, bro.
you know, I like his stuff.
Love it.
You know, I don't know a lot of rappers right now, but I hear some
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, that's legit. Like, you know, there was this one song that popped on somebody's Instagram. It was called "I Feel Good" or something like that. And I was like, oh, this is pretty badass. You know,
I look good. I feel
so,
good.
like, I don't know, like
Charlie Boy.
NF is good.
NF's a beast.
NF is cool.
And
I
that's
like
one of
NF.
one of the best shows I've ever been to.
Yeah. I actually, because I don't do a lot of music shows anymore. I used to go all the time, and that was one that I went to, and I was like, damn, he sounds just like his CD or
Yeah. You just
Spotify.
dated yourself.
I did. I was like, shit.
This CD.
I was like, wait, I didn't buy a CD. It was Spotify.
If you do want to go to a rap show, there's a big one on the 28th. I can get you in. We're doing some shit there.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Where at?
My boy's performing down at Empire Control Room.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, no. Come and take it live.
Okay, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to live over there.
Really?
Yeah.
June, or it's on the 28th if you want to.
May?
Yeah.
Maybe.
If you want to get down. I know you don't do a lot of social things, so I'm trying to pull you out.
No,
trying
I
to
do
pull you
not. If it doesn't involve, like, yeah.
All right. Well, at the very least, we're gonna catch some miles.